Perhaps there was much more going on in ancient Egypt than we have been led to understand. Now we know that in our latter times that many claim that in the early ages of Egypt, many of the acts were pagan, to pagan gods and pagan deities of various forms and various animal attributes. And there was always strange blood rituals. And as always, there are those of us who understand the truth, and there are those of us who think they understand, and they don't have any true insight at all. Those of us who are of the light, we do not partake in any abominable, disgusting acts involving blood rituals of any form or kind. From the north to the south, from the east to the west. It doesn't matter which clan or tribe you are from. There have always been those amongst you who have spoken the truth. And we who speak the truth do not drink the blood of any animal to perform any ritual act in worship to the Creator of all that is. Ever, ever, ever. In the time of the awakening, from those who have been doing this to those who have been consistently speaking to you the truth, is about to occur. Well, how do we then differentiate between those in the past who were truly worshiping the Lord Most High and those who were misguided? Well, our job is not to decipher all of the past knowledge. The truth is really something kind of more obvious. The truth is always to try and remember who you are and what your personal story is about. And remembering that no matter who they were, no matter what they were like, you have a heart. And if you breathe, you should be able to sense light as a feeling in your heart. Are we not at that level, my brothers and sisters? And if those in the past, as we have declared, were not more primitive than us spiritually, but were perhaps more advanced or sensitive than us, and we have slowly become numb, then perhaps they saw and sensed and felt the vibration of much more that we have forgotten. But now is the time of awakening. And what is it that we are awakening to? Let's go straight into the interesting parts of the story. Let's talk about jihad. A lot of times we talk on the HotConflict.com video series about popular culture, about Western movies, about television and media, because the truth of the reality is that people express in culture and songs and music and art and film and stories what they usually cannot express openly and out loud. And I oftentimes like to mix that into the tale, although I am one who also weaves the story of how the interplay of the tale works in our current time, but not to create greater conflict. Right? The goal of anyone of the light should be and always is to remove conflict, to elucidate the matter, to enlighten. Right? Not to say, oh, I am your leader, now follow me, I am so great. No, to shine the light on an area so that conflict is removed, so that those who are looking upon it now can see it truthfully if they were open with their heart. no issue on the face of the earth is a bigger or more heated or debated conflict on the earth than the issue of the word jihad. Obviously, if there is one hot conflict on this earth, it is this issue. So if there's someone that would resolve this, it would have to be someone who truly understands the meaning of jihad. Now, I wanted to touch just real quickly on a film that is coming not from the Western pop culture, but from the biggest film industry on the earth. Bollywood, right? I said if you want to understand Eastern and Western culture, you have to understand how this is all about. And of course, my dad comes from India, so I grew up watching the Bollywood stuff, right? This is about mixing cultures. And so right now, there's this popular flick going around called My Name is Khan. Khan, from the epiglottis. Now, those who have watched the movie know that it is about an individual who comes from India. He's visiting the United States, and in the heat of the conflict between the East and the West, and the terrorism and jihad, and the misnomer between those two terms, his life goes into a series of events, and he has to continuously go out through the film saying, "My name is Khan, and I'm not a terrorist. And I want to see the president." Now, brothers and sisters, you know me. If I watch a good movie, I fall in love with it. And if when I fall in love with something, I always like to mix it in. Somebody wake up Brother Shahrukh and tell him I said salam. I got a story for you, brother. But anyway, in this movie, the character keeps going through, and he's an individual who has an autistic disability, and he's often misunderstood. And of course, he has nothing to do with terrorism, right? It's a classic fish out of water story that is truly lovable, and many in the West should look at it, and it's a really nice flick about love and the tenderness side, and how sometimes people in a conflict situation get pushed to the worst limits of their patience or of their humanity or even their individual human decency. And sometimes they crack. And it's hard not to in a situation that is so charged with violent, negative energy. But if there's a flick that brings and delivers a line with such passion, you know I'm going to want to steal it. So my name is Salim Siddiqui. I'm not a terrorist. But I am a mujahid, a warrior in the path of Allah. Now, what does that mean? Well, everybody in the West is saying, okay, jihad does not mean terrorism, and that's the biggest problem with the debate in the West. And the longer that the Western world equates jihad with terrorism, we're going to continue to have a verbal communication gap. So let's clarify these issues. Well, in the West, people will then say, okay, well, of course, we've heard your argument. There's always two different kinds of jihad. There's the spiritual struggle of getting over the self and overcoming the demons that we all face, so to speak, and overcoming fears and hatred. And yes, this is true. But there are those Muslims who promote the other jihad, the warrior jihad, the battlefield jihad. And you don't understand those Muslims. Those guys are crazy. Those guys are fundamentalists. Those guys are lunatics. Those guys are radicals. Those guys are promoting an agenda that wants to destroy Western civilization. Those guys are promoting what we call Sharia. They want Sharia law. And so, of course, everybody gets into fear and everybody misunderstands the words and so much gets lost in translation. Of course, Sharia means the way or the path, or the methodology of helping the world as a global society ascend in the light. Now, of course, if Sharia gets translated as the most barbaric implementation of a posse running wild without any authority saying, we are claiming the right of God to honor, kill anybody we like, and because they claim to be Muslim, then that has nothing to do with actual law under a proper legal system administered under Muslim authorities. Unfortunately, just like a true battlefield of a checkerboard set up with soldiers, we also don't have any true Muslim country upon true spiritual guidance. Not anywhere on the surface of the earth do we have that. Anywhere. No country. And being someone who's from the West or lived in the United States, of course America touts itself as being the greatest place of freedom and democracy, but there is a difference between claiming we have great liberties and I exercising my First Amendment right of freedom of speech, or the natural God-given right of all individuals to express themselves, as long as they're not calling for harm or violence to any other individuals. That right should be true for anybody, American or otherwise. Of course, we promote the American ideals of these freedoms and these God-given rights that the Founding Fathers truly understood. But the concept of the struggle of finding the way, of course, how it gets administered in all the various regimes is not what we're talking about. We're not talking about the politics of today. And no country has the claim of religious authority, not any of them, not a kingdom, not a crown, not a queen, not a country, not a dictator, not a royal family, not any of the Muslim nations, and also not America. And no one from America who's arguing for the Constitution would also declare that this nation decrees that we are divinely guided. We are blessed, and that is true, by noble founding fathers who did much to preserve rights and liberties of people born in the United States. And the same is true for many Western countries, Canada, many European countries. And this isn't a debate about current day politics. We all agree that we've got troubles, right? We've got problems. And no one is above reproach. And so anytime somebody says, my clan or my group or my religious authority, right? Those in power today are divinely right, then no, right? We all recognize that there is light and dark in the hearts of all of the sons of Adam, and anybody that is living, walking around that you see, red, white, black, yellow, brown, are all sons of Adam. So then, wait, who's our enemy? Let's talk about the actual concept of jihad fi sabilillah, what we call the struggle in the path of Allah. And when we say that we are talking about not the esoteric, spiritual, meditative state of oneness, we're talking about actual people who are putting themselves in the path, in harm's way, in service to others. That is a mujahid in the field of battle, right? He's actually putting himself in harm's way for someone else. Now, if someone jumps in front of a harm to protect someone and they get killed, they are considered a shaheed, a martyr.